Alright y'all, look like some changes might be on the way. Welcome back to Street Scores. It's your boy Rico giving y'all an off-season update edition of NFL Report. Today's topic, a few rules the NFL might modify or rid of completely. Let's get it. Recent insider information has told us that the NFL is considering changing a few very controversial rules. Some of the rules have the possibility of being altered or completely thrown away. Let's get into each of these 5 rules, and I'll also discuss how I feel about the current rule versus its possible modifications. Rule 1, and probably the most controversial. The NFL Competition Committee may alter the catch rule. We have all seen several instances where a player caught and secured the catch, but lost it as they fell to the ground. The most complicated ones involve touchdowns and the breaking of the plane before falling, like Jesse James of the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Patriots last regular season. It was originally ruled a touchdown, it was overturned, and pretty much lost the game for the Steelers. The competition committee may propose eliminating the rule that states a receiver must maintain possession of the football even after hitting the ground. If this rule is proposed, it will have to receive 24 out of 32 votes at the owners' meeting to pass. I personally like how the rule is. It seems like every rule that is added lately makes it even harder for the defense, especially the defensive backs, to defend. I appreciate the fact that receivers actually have to catch the ball throughout the entire process, giving the DB position a larger skill gap for the DBs. They can also force these ground drops with skill and aggression. Also, I believe a receiver should earn it, but I do want the rule to clearly define that if a receiver catches the ball and takes 2 steps after fully securing the ball, then that is a catch, no matter if they lose the ball after they hit the ground. That then becomes a fumble, unless they're in the end zone at some point before the ball is lost, so that's a touchdown. But yes, I may be going against the grain, but I want to protect our DBs out there, and NFL scoring is at an all-time high. Please don't make it worse, NFL. Rule 2. The NFL is considering blowing off the dust on an old rule where pass interferences can at most cost a defense 15 yards. And this rule is a little gray for me because on one hand, it's not fair that there's a great play call, a great route ran, and a great 40-yard throw from a quarterback and a touchdown in the making, and then the DB just tackles the receiver before the ball is even relatively close to the receiver, and all the offense gets in compensation is a 15-yard penalty? Nah. But on the other hand, there are many examples of offenses abusing the current rule by throwing passes they almost know they can't make just to pick up a free 50 yards. But at the end of the day, if the DB'd a little better and got their heads turned around, that is usually the cure for most of these situations, because refs try not to call pass interference if the DB is actually turned around and playing the ball. Then the call would have never happened. So in my opinion, I like the current rule. Don't change this one either. You can possibly install an instant replay to make sure y'all get the right calls to help the DB out some, but that will consume so much time and even throw off TV scheduling with how often this situation arises. Rule 3. The competition committee is also considering adding a college-style targeting rule that would add instant replay. Even though it would slow down the game some, I like this rule. I think it should be enforced. Some people inadvertently run their defensive heads into offensive players' heads, with it often being the offensive player's fault, with him ducking his head so low that there's nowhere for the defensive player to hit the offensive player but in the head. And it's also happened in the blink of an eye. The NFL is so fast. You can't really tell on TV or in the stands, but from the sideline and on the field, you can truly see how quick things happen. And it's hard enough for a defensive player to make an open field tackle one-on-one. And then you want him to care about the safety of the person they're tackling? Now that's manageable, but now you have a receiver or a running back ducking his head down forward to protect his legs, and the defensive player is already coming in full speed. What's he supposed to do? It's football. Danger is in the sport. I like to have the replay option so that we can see whether or not a hit was intentional or malicious, because some of these wrong targeting calls completely change games sometimes, and for the wrong reason. Rule 4. The competition committee may re-emphasize the enforcement of illegal contact rules to increase league-wide scoring. That's literally what they said, to increase league-wide scoring. First of all, if you do not know, illegal contact is any forceful contact a defensive player has on any eligible receiver past 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. Pretty much sums it up. And the competition committee is considering making it even harder on DBs and linebackers to increase scoring? What? The league is at an all-time high in scoring. The past Super Bowl Bowl was the highest scoring Super Bowl ever. The NFL really wants 74 to 58 games, huh? Y'all want to be like the NBA so much, y'all want y'all final scores to look like the NBA's too. Throw that Microsoft Word document with that rule suggestion on it into the recycling bin and delete it. Do not look back, NFL. We do not want this. Rule 5. And the final rule I'm discussing, the NFL is expected to let teams hire coaches of playoff teams while they are still currently in the playoffs. The rule is expected to be enforced. The catalyst for this undoubtedly has to be New England offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels, who was set to be the Colts head coach this offseason and had coordinators ready to leave their jobs to go to Indy with him, but he suddenly backed out, which left several coaches and the Colts in a state of flux, confusion, and desperation. This would not have happened if the Colts would have been allowed by the rules to officially sign Josh McDoublecrosser Daniels to a deal once they actually agreed, which happened during the postseason, so they legally couldn't sign him. But since the Colts had to wait until after the Patriots season was over, after the Super Bowl, it gave McDaniels time to back out of the deal. Tragic. People don't normally back out of agreements like the way McDaniels did, so this rule has not demanded much change in the past, but now that we can see how ugly this rule can get and how bad it can burn teams, it will be best to change it. But hey, Colts fans, y'all still got Eagles offensive coordinator Frank Reich as y'all head coach, and that's some pretty good self-compensation if you ask me. But yeah, this rule needs to change before some other team and or a group of coordinators get done dirty, especially my Washington team. But that's it for this short episode. Wait, hold up. These refs look like they about to drop the best ballad of 2018. But thanks for the view. I'm going to keep bringing y'all occasional updates on what the NFL is doing throughout the entire offseason from December to August. Get in them comments and let us know which rules you want to rid of, modify, or keep. Also fill us in on any other rules you might hate, debate, and let your voice be heard. Make sure y'all Dolomite Fake punch that like button, favorite, subscribe, I'll subscribe back, and most importantly, comment and share. And again, thank y'all for the support. I'll catch y'all later. I'm out.